Yes, sir.
So, okay. Great. Yeah, I get the feedback that audio is not audible. Ah, damn it. But I just tested. Oh, okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, so okay, now I got the feedback. Audio is back. Yeah, sorry for that. I recreated all the setup because right now we are streaming from very different locations and I'm not sitting in Berlin. That's why I might look a little bit tired because I just got out of bed. Yeah, but sorry for that. Next time it will work better. Yeah, so who's here with me? On camera 4, I have Lars, who's not on camera right now because of bandwidth. On camera 3, we have Rune with us. On camera 2, we have... Oh, I can switch. Camera 3, there it is. Here's Will. On camera 2, we have Chris. And on camera 1, very tired, this is Tarek. Hi. Ah. Great crash in the first approach, in the first try of this new stream format. Yeah, but maybe before anything else goes wrong, let's jump into our roster because we have a lot of stuff here with us. Maybe we start with Chris. Would you like to start?
Okay. I actually brought one link regarding Clearview again. You guys might remember that last time in Clearview we had an article dealing with Clearview AI as well, which is a device company who has a database of 100 billion pictures in there, and they actually developed a mixed reality or AR glasses actually, with which they could do some face scan and recognize people directly by comparing that with their picture database. And in that article, they said that they will not use that with their 100 billion pictures actually to recognize people. So the chief executive officer mentioned that in words. And now 2 weeks later, I found an article again dealing with Clearview AI, and now they say, yeah, we will be able to survey almost everybody on the planet. And it took, as said, it's quite an interesting statement that it just took 2 weeks until that has changed so much, saying that first, no, we will not do that, to, yeah, we will do it. And I can remember that 2 weeks ago, actually, I already mentioned that if it's possible, they will do it. And now they do it. So that's just why I wanted to take this one here as the first link, because I found it quite interesting and also frightening a bit. I mean, just imagine a database with 100 billion pictures of people in there. So that means like we have 8 billion people or so on the world. So it's like 13 pictures for everybody. So there's no escape, I'd say, right? And nowadays we even have, the company is US based, and nowadays we have like data security institutions in Australia, in UK, and France who want to go against that, against the company, against those methods. But on the other hand, I can imagine that there are also countries with lesser standards of democracy, who would actually appreciate and embrace technology like that. And especially since it is said that the product is even better than the Chinese surveying system. And that, of course, probably is quite a standard, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great news. Especially from European point of view, this is of course something where I'm really curious to see if there will be a lot of resistance against it.
Yeah, but in the end, it shows again that whatever is possible technically will happen in the real world as yeah, as a as a functionality which is available, right? So, and which will be used by whoever.
Yeah, yeah. But you would have expected that this one comes from China, but not from outside of China. Yeah. Yeah, but you're totally right.
I guess the CEO is a Chinese guy. I'm
Oh,
not quite
okay.
sure, but maybe that's why.
Coincidence. Yeah, let's see. Clearview AI. Nice. Okay, let's jump to the next one. Maybe let's mix it a little bit. So I take the next one. You might have already heard this one, and I used it in our preview. The topic of what's it called? Fusion, nuclear fusion. And so far it was quite impossible to actually control it. There were prototypes of nuclear fusion power plants, but so far it was always impossible to control the plasma in there. And now there is this experiment of DeepMind where they create an AI, a learning system that automatically controls the flow of the plasma. And so now that it might be possible to actually use it to generate energy in a sufficient way. And the crazy thing is that in 2004, there was the Spider-Man 2 movie with Tobey Maguire, and they actually had exactly the scenario where the scientist created an AI to control his nuclear fusion reactor, and then it turned crazy and he became a homicidal psycho because the AI was then in his brain and everything. But apart from that, it's really interesting that this vision of AI-controlled nuclear fusion is already quite old, and we were dreaming for this so long, and now it might become reality that this learning system is then capable of mixing or controlling the flow of the plasma, that we can actually create what people expect to be clean energy, a fusion reactor that might replace fossil fuels and nuclear energy. Yeah, I'm really...
At least...
Yeah, sorry, what?
At least as long the AI is willing to deliver that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, of course, we can trust the AI, right? What could go wrong?
Until it decides the best way to save the planet is to actually get rid of the humans.
Yeah. Don't put this idea into the AI's brain.
But the target is it intended to be put into place at the big facility, the one in France that they're building? Are they saying anything about that?
I have no. The article does not say about the actual rollout of this thing. I think it's still a prototype. I think it was just the question if the AI is capable of learning these patterns to steer the plasma flow. And the hard part is that it's not a simple supervised learning system where you can tell it, okay, this and that form is good and this and that form is not good, and so do it. But it has to try and measure the output and then dynamically adapt to this. And the article also says that the output is not always measurable. And so it is quite a challenge for the machine to actually learn how to do it in an efficient way, because it's not like just rolling around numbers. Yeah, but somehow it seems to be promising, and they say they make good progress. So this might be the last puzzle piece that we need to actually make fusion reactors go. Yeah. But the main thing that I had to laugh about this article was that it's basically the plot of Spider-Man 2. And I read this and I thought like, what? I know this already, right? Okay. So, Rune, what did you bring to us?
Yeah, I just brought one article because I'm a novice in this collective set of minds. I fell over this article on Insider where they talked about people who had glaucoma or were blind, were born with vision but turned blind early in their life, and then they got this implant in their eye operated in that could work together with a set of glasses that was using some sort of camera to project light flashes onto the retina, which could help blind people to navigate in train stations, in traffic. They wouldn't be able to have like 20/20 vision or something like this, but it helped them for a while. The problem with this is the company is about to go bankrupt, and the product they got implanted, is no longer supported. This means if it breaks, they won't get a repair. It won't get any software updates. And a lot of the people who were in this trial has reported that they don't use it anymore because it's just gone black or it's too flashy or so. And there's also a new product. So, but this is sort of like focused in on a retina implant. But I thought it was an interesting topic because it opens up the whole question: what do we do when we start building more things into our bodies? And then suddenly 2 years later, that company decides to just disappear. And we have old technology in our bodies. So I thought it was a scary article, but also very enlightening in the sense that we definitely need to find a way to, similar to what Tesla does with their cars. You know, it's not a completely, they can send an update from the cloud without it being depending on the cloud. It can, so we have to find a way how to make, what do you call that, bionic implants lasting longer than the company who builds them, you know. So it's an ethical thing.
Yeah, I think on the one hand, it is totally to be expected. We develop systems, and at some point of time, there's an end of life of software updates. But I guess if it comes to bionic implants, there must be some kind of protective, what you call it, like a governmental protective shield, like the financial fund that protects them against bankruptcy, because at the end, if something like this happens and millions of people, I don't know, their heart stops because their artificial heart does not receive any updates yet, this must not happen, right? And so there must be some kind of regulation where they say, okay, the government might jump in and I don't know, take over the financial side or something like that, because otherwise we can't let people die because for reasons like this.
Yeah, I think it's also maybe there is some sort of legislation already. I would believe so for stuff like what do they call pacemakers and all these other things that we've had for a long time.
Yeah.
The problem is they were not as smart as some of the newer bionic implants are and are going to be in the future. So probably the legislation has to do a proper update. Also in the fact of how do we make sure that no one hacks in and make you see red elephants or pink elephants everywhere, whatever, in this case, you know.
Yeah, I'm really loving that more and more of the news that we are following up on sounds basically like the plot of science fiction movies, and we already know those AI-controlled fusion reactors and hacked body implants. This is like all the sci-fi movies that I ever saw.
And we all know how these stories end, right?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, but this is nonetheless an interesting question. I mean, hacking is one thing, of course, but the dependency of a specific certain company, right, regarding your whatever kind of bionic implant. So, and this is in this case, okay, the company went bankrupt. But what if you have a renting model, for instance, and if you are not able to pay your rents any longer on the bionic whatever? So then, what happens then in your body? I mean, this is a broad field for ethical questions, indeed.
Yeah, right. I mean, of course, imagine you have something like a bank loan to pay your house, right? And if you can't pay, then the house becomes property of the bank. And so I imagine if I now have body implants and I can't pay the lease, and then the ownership of my body goes to the bank, so the bank is then owning my body. Is this some kind of modern slavery? Because then I have to work for the bank to pay off my debt.
Sorry, isn't it the Blade Runner plot a little bit?
Is it?
It was these mercenaries who got like enhanced. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure I've seen a movie like this where they can't pay for the implants. Or is it this Netflix movie where they get these? They can re-sleeve and get a new life in. But it's an interesting question. Maybe it's also a question to the people who develop these implants to make sure. I could imagine they say, okay, fine, you can't pay for your implant anymore. That's fine. We will deactivate it, and it will either be dormant in your body, like we do with satellites that we don't use anymore, and we deorbit them slowly. Maybe you can create some sort of implant that can be extracted from your body naturally or decompose somehow when they send the kill switch. I used the word very. But you know, it's definitely a field that the people who are gonna be the pioneers are gonna have to live with maybe having a piece of scrap metal in their neck.
Yeah. I mean, last time in the last Tech Review, we already discussed this topic of if dystopy and utopy are the same thing from this philosophical point of view. And on the one hand, I always feel that these high-tech developments are really amazing things, and we can let people live and support organ failures by high-tech implants. But at the same time, if we are now discussing things like what happens if software updates are failing and people are hacking these things, and I don't know, the company goes bankrupt, and so 1 million people is just dying because someone just switched off the power in the control center or something like that, then it always feels like everything that brings us progress leads to this inevitable dystopian future that, of course, nobody wants to have.
Yeah, in the end, it's a physical law, right? Entropy. I mean, so it just has to be held on a certain level, whatever kind of change you've done before. And if that level is not to be held, then it's going into entropy. And this is then what you actually call dystopy, since, yeah, this is what we see. If a certain bionic implant is not working properly any longer, or being hacked, or the lease is not being paid, or whatever, then you have a problem.
But the reality will be, of course, somewhere in between, right? I mean, we're talking now the extreme scenarios of life and death and everything, but in reality, everything will be commercialized. And so my bionic eyes, they will probably just display advertisements or something like that to make it cheaper, right? Like I have to downgrade my subscription, and that's why I now have commercial breaks whenever I stand and wait for a traffic light or something like that. This traffic light is presented by Coca-Cola.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Innovation.
Pair of glasses, I think, instead of bionic eyes.
Yeah, so. But who needs AR glasses if you have bionic eyes?
But in your case, you have vision. These people, we also have to, on the other hand, we have to look at what medicine always does. Like, is this a life-changing impact on them? Yes, it might be. The drawbacks might be we can't ensure it works in 4 years, but at least you get 4 years of vision or 4 years of insurance that your heart won't just stop, and or whatever the implant is. And for us as relatively healthy human beings, it's naturally that's a different situation. Do you want to enhance your already functioning health, or do you have a handicap that can make you that you can sort of solve with technology? And there they would probably always say, well, the risk is that it might not work in 10 years, but at least you have 10 years of something else, you know?
Yeah, but have you met people? I mean, people, they consume whatever they get their hands on, right? People, they get butt implants because they think their butt is not shaped well enough. And if you provide something like you have perfect vision, with these eyes, you have 200% vision, right? You can zoom in on things with your eyes. So people will buy it and they implant it simply because they can afford it, right? And better hearing, and I don't know, knee implants so that they can jump higher or something like that. If that's available, people will buy it. I'm sure.
But of course, there's a difference between something which is needed for life, actually, to be living, to be alive, and the luxury things, right? So better hearing, better seeing, better vision, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, maybe let's jump to the next one. We have a lot of articles here. Chris, I just take the next one.
Yeah, AI again. This I found that interesting. It's AI again, generated faces, AI generated faces, and the bottom line is that indeed the generated faces are more trustworthy than the real thing. The thing is, there was a testing with 3 groups of some 100 people, and so first of all, they had like 400, or no, those faces actually were generated by GANs, also by GAN AIs, right? So generative adversarial networks. So you have like 2 instances who work against each other and create these generated faces in this case, and they had 400 in the end. And then they had these 3 groups of people testing those faces and checking if or if not it is artificial. And the thing is that less than 50% were not able to decide if or if not the face was artificial, right? So 48% claimed that it is artificial, which is roughly guessing, right? So it was 50-50. So they could not decide in this first group if it was an artificially created face. And the second group, the people actually were being trained on how to detect if the face is actually being created artificially or not. And here we had only less than 60% being able to detect, yeah, that was an AI created face, and more than 40% were not able. So it's not the big difference there. But the most important aspect actually, as said in the headline, was in the third group. And here it was to check out if people were able to create or to differentiate if the face was AI generated or not. And there we had, like as said, less than 50% saying it's really trustworthy. And sorry, not 50%, that was the first group. More than 50% saying that it was trustworthy, more trustworthy than the real faces. And I think what is important with this article is, of course, the implications, right? So if you have artificially created faces who seem to be trustworthy, then whatever message you might have and want to spread among the people, then you would use an artificially created face like that, and then you would have the power also to send this message out and convince people of whatever your message might be. And that, of course, is something which is difficult.
Yeah, as always, we can do it, and so we will do it, and I kind of expect to be expected. I mean, we already saw that we can generate real faces, right? Based on faces that the system trained on. And I mean, I'm not sure if they somehow manipulated the faces or selected that faces that they put into the study. But if you generate faces that look real and then somehow understand what our standards for good looking are, then you might like select the good looking faces from the artificially rendered, and then as you said, we can use them as spokespersons or kind of commercialization for whatever we want to have it. I saw these first generated faces. I'm not sure who it was. It was Nvidia or someone or Samsung, where it was really undistinguishable if they are real people or not. And the interesting thing for me was there were some people just ugly, like really ugly faces. And this was normal, because normal people, they do not look like models, right? If you see people on the street, they look like normal people, and normal people, they have like flaws and everything. It's not like watching a Hollywood movie where everyone looks like Brad Pitt and like casted from a model agency or something like that. And I think this makes it realistic. Yeah? If you have like only perfectly modeled faces, then this might even look artificial in some way. Yeah, but I think it's really interesting that people might even prefer generated faces.
Yeah, but this is exactly the point which you mentioned, right? So when you have a created face in the end, it's not just a created face which comes as one thing, as one cut, so to say, from the computer, but it's really a puzzle in the end, right? You have like hundreds of faces on which the AI had been trained beforehand, and then it takes a little bit of that and a little bit of this and puts that all together. And in the end, the artificial face which is being created is a puzzle of hundreds faces which actually the AI had been trained with. And the thing is, in the end, it's such a normal face. There is nothing spectacular with it. It's not too beautiful or too ugly or whatever. It's just normal because it has all these normal, usual aspects from all the other faces it had been trained with. And then this is probably what makes, as you say, what makes the face so trustworthy, that it is not special in any way.
Right.
That is also the MO of a red teamer. If you think of, these faces are also created by people who don't want good. It's not always people who create these or use these for good motives. And if you talk to a penetration tester, they try to look as normal as possible. You don't put glasses and a big nose on and a trench coat when you want to go unnoticed.
Right.
But it's also a really good point. No face is what do you call that? Completely symmetrical.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, and then in the future, of course, when we have our bionic eyes or AR glasses, then we don't have to worry about that, because we can then apply beauty filters on the fly in real life situations. I always have this vision of simply switch on my smile filter, and then everyone around me is just smiling, right? There are these Snapchat filters. Do you know those that make you smile?
Yeah.
Just apply this to everyone around you, and you're always in a positive environment. Might be creepy if you're mugged or something and your attacker.
Yeah, after
smiles.
a while.
Okay, let's jump to the next one. think it's my turn. Oh yeah, this was something that I wanted to present to Henrike last time, but we didn't have time. If you did not hear this yet, NASA is planning to retire the International Space Station in 2030, and retirement of a space station means controlled crash. So there's actually a timetable for letting the ISS crash into the Pacific Ocean, into the so-called space graveyard, I think they call it, which is a safe zone where they deliberately crash satellites and stuff. Yeah, and this is very sad because we have the space station now for 22 years, but it's of course very, very expensive. And the argumentation from NASA is we don't need it anymore because commercial space flight is now at a stage where we can hand over low orbit stuff to these commercial or private spacecrafts and space stations. And so they are now transitioning these operations to SpaceX and the other companies that are sending people up there. And they have these contracts, and they say until 2030 they will still maintain the space station, but it is unclear if it is actually feasible to do so because it is an international space station, and so all participants have to jump in on that. And they say especially Russia and China, since they are planning and delivering, building their own space programs and space stations, it might be that they will stop funding the International Space Station even earlier. Then it might be that they have to retire it earlier because the NASA can't maintain it all by themselves. Yeah, so it might be that in the next years there will be a untimely end of the International Space Station, which is of course a very sad end of an era. I remember when I was a child, I was always following these plans, and I had in my kids' room, like posters of the designs of the International Space Station, because there was always this vision, and different nations, they bring in these modules, and in the year 2000 was really like, oh, we now arrived in the future. We have now an International Space Station with these international modules, and over time it became bigger and bigger. This was always like this dream, and science fiction where people just simply attach more and more modules onto the space stations, and then you have like a space city, with their own artificial gravity and everything. And I always thought, okay, this is the future of the ISS, that they would simply make it bigger and bigger. Yeah, but apparently not. ISS is old.
But is the plan not from NASA to maybe switch the focus onto having a space station around the moon? Isn't that also they're taking some of the funding, putting it there? Because as you said, there's no need for it in lower Earth orbit anymore. I've definitely heard something about that they want to have something orbiting around the moon instead. It makes more sense to them.
Yeah, it might be. Actually, I'm not sure. I don't know anything about this one. If Henrike was there yet, she would probably know about this one. But if they actually plan something like that, then they will probably build this from scratch and not like move the ISS to the moon, even though.
No, totally.
Might be cheaper.
They have commissioned it. I think they've done like one of these competitions they always do.
Yeah. 3
big companies can come with the best solution, and then they pick the right one. I think there's Bigelow Airspace, where they have these inflatable modules. They are looking at that for the moon. But I mean, the space station is also really old, and also a little bit in danger as it gets crowded up there. We just saw, what was it, last month, that they had to do an emergency correction because they were about to fly into some shrapnel from, I don't know, I can't remember what satellite
think it was. A Russian satellite.
Russia shut down, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Russians again. They're everywhere.
Well.
Yeah, I know. I just told Chris that this might be a very interesting topic to discuss, but Russians, let's focus on technology and maybe Russian technology. So, Chris, what else?
I will.
Yeah.
I will just jump in and say I will probably disappear from the stream in
Yeah.
4 minutes. I had another meeting, so
Sure.
just want to say don't have Wi-Fi problems. I will disappear on my own accord.
What could be more important than this here?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris. I think this one came from you.
Okay, this is yeah, this one I liked. It was just cute actually. So I mean we're talking about augmented reality and holograms and everything very often, but in this case it's just a projection, visual mapping in a restaurant. But I like that a lot since it's just cute. It's a really nice. It's not a mass market thing. It's nothing which is so big tech or something, but it's something which is really nice for a very narrow group of people, right? So not big business, but if you look at the video, maybe you'll see what it's all about. It's a little chef actually, which is preparing your meal while you are sitting at the table of a restaurant and look at him while he's doing his work. And this is really just cute, right? So
Man, no.
a totally different way of using this projection technology.
Oh, is this while I'm waiting for my food, and so I can I'm entertained by this little chef preparing my food?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you're waiting for your food, and then you more or less see how the food is being prepared by this little visual mapping experience here.
No way. That's nice.
But you don't need AI glasses for this. This is projected onto the
that's
table.
the cool thing about it, right? So I mean,
Cool.
yeah, we are talking about like mixed reality glasses and everything, and all the time, and AR, MR, VR, and so on. But here, as said, it's just a projection. But the advantage is you don't need any glasses there. You just sit there. Everything has to be at the right position, of course, so that the projectors actually hit the right place, hit the right spot. But then you get a really nice experience and a nice vision on on what happens there on your plate.
That's really creative.
Looks really fun.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, totally unnecessary, but it's really cool, right? And the goal of the restaurant should always be entertain the guests and give them great food. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
It's just a nice one, right? So I mean, it's not about Terminator, robots killing AI, mass destruction, whatever kind of technology. This is really something just cute.
Yeah, and I mean, technically, it's probably very easily done with this projector and everything. We're not talking about streaming the images to your bionic eyes or something, which might be a thing in the future. But for now, it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be precise here, right? So that you really got the effect. But in the end, I totally agree. It's not complex or complicated.
Yeah. I mean, these people probably work very hard on this, so
yeah,
we should give them credit for this one. But yeah.
No.
Really cool.
Totally, but it will also only work if it has creative ingenuity, right? That it is entertaining, as you say, Chris. Like if you just do it for the technology and then it doesn't give any extra value for the customer, then they don't see why they need to sort of look at that. The content is king here, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's true.
Right. I'm gonna have to go. It was fun with you guys. I'll hopefully see you next time.
Sure. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah, then I think I will take the next one. Oh yeah, when we are talking about virtual reality, I remember in 2018 we were all thrilled that this whole movement of web VR was coming, and companies like Mozilla were jumping on this and were developing things like the Firefox VR, right? And we were all expecting that all browser vendors will jump on this and use this as a new web standard. But right now it looks a little bit different. And even though Web VR is not dying and we will still have this technology, Mozilla decided to shut down their Firefox VR browser. And they don't do this without a replacement. There is, what was it called? Igalia. Yeah, there's this new browser called Igalia, or company called Igalia, who develop a new VR browser. So there will be a replacement, and Mozilla is already promoting this one. But for me, the big question is if this is some kind of a message that is that we should be aware of, that Web VR technology might not really be a big new standard. The idea was to have VR content or three-dimensional content that you can easily consume through a browser in your VR headset and then interact with three-dimensional objects or have them interact with like maybe AR environments. Yeah. And so for me, this was kind of a surprise and maybe a hint that this is a downwards trend regarding Web VR technology. Chris, did you hear about this one?
No, not yet. But I don't know. So the whole Web VR thing, I think in the middle run is, I don't know if it's downroads. So especially since we get like big bandwidth with 5G and everything. So technologies like these and the actually followers will be needed also in the middle run, from my point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, we don't have the view behind the scenes and we do not know the analytics behind that. I mean, 2018 is already quite a long time ago, and in the last 4 years, it might be that even though they created these technologies and they prepared everything, maybe there was not enough content generated for this because people who try to profit out of this did not see the return of invest, or there were really like technological hurdles where they say, okay, compatibility with the headset vendors is not given or not enough support. So there is probably a reason behind this one. Here in this article, they do not go into the details. They just say, yeah, it was a nice run, but we will hand over operations now to this other competitor. But I was always hoping that Mozilla was kind of the trailblazer and the one giving this path and showing the way into this new standard. Yeah, but shutting down is not a nice signal regarding this.
Mm.
But yeah, let's see. Maybe when Safari, when Apple brings out their headset, Safari will create like a new Web VR standard or something like that, and then everyone can jump on this one. Okay, Chris, where was I? Humans find AI, Panasonic. Oh no, we just had that.
Yeah, it's the Tinder one.
Tinder.
Mixed. Yeah, that was actually exactly. Yeah, that was just quite interesting. I mean, in the end, it's nothing more than a dating app, right? The only difference here is that it's not a common dating app. It's like Tinder, yes, but it's not with a personal photo, and you will not meet the person in reality. Instead of a personal photo, you have like a picture of your avatar, and the dating mating thing then also happens not in reality, but in virtual reality, right? In a metaverse of your choice. So that's the biggest difference. All the rest is similar. You have like a chat functionality and everything. But the strange, cool, and interesting thing is that really you connect yourself or your avatar actually with an avatar of another person to meet this other avatar's person or person's avatar in a metaverse then, right? And then you do whatever you would do in real life maybe. But yeah, it's a total new way of meeting people. And if you think about it, there's also a necessity for that, probably, because I mean, if you run through whatever kind of metaverse, of course you meet lots of people, but usually it's difficult to really get their acquaintance, right? To really get closer to them, to have like good talks. There's a lot of luck in there if you need a person who's really nice, or there's a lot of accident in there if you really have a match. And so a tool like that might help you really meet avatar people, nice avatar people in a metaverse, and then find, well, virtual friends for virtual worlds. So I thought, not a new idea, but a nice idea, and interesting, since I don't think that something like that was there before.
Yeah, but I think it totally makes sense. If you take on a completely new persona in the metaverse, if it's now desirable or not, doesn't matter. But you have your username, you have your avatar, you have maybe the role that you are playing, whatever space you're inhabiting. Then of course it makes sense to have some kind of dating or match finding. It doesn't need to be dating, right? It might just be like find new friendships or something like that, where you are as your persona, the thing that you're personifying, right? So yeah, it is totally to be expecting that this is one of the first things that we develop in the metaverse. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
Let's see if this booms. But I can imagine that this will be very, very popular.
Yeah, me too. I mean, as said, so the more or the bigger actually the whole metaverse thing becomes, the more people are in there, of course, the more the needs actually will rise
Right.
for applications like these.
Yeah. Nevermet is also a great name.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay. Then I think I also have. Okay, my camera just. Okay, today is one of those days where nothing works as it is supposed to work. I have this. I don't care. I just hold it with my hand. Okay, but where are my links? Oh yeah. No tech review without NFT news. And I have the chance to finally bring a Rolling Stone article. Yeah, there was a scandal from a company called HitPiece, and HitPiece they offered NFTs for about artists and their music. And it was a great thing. So you can buy an NFT piece about a song from your favorite artist. The problem is the artist was not aware of that. And so the artists sued this company HitPiece. They said, you can't just sell NFTs of my work without my knowledge, without my consent, without me profiting from this. And HitPiece said, yeah, that's fine, because the NFTs, they have nothing to do with you, right? And this was exactly one of these things. What is an NFT? Yeah? The NFT does not actually bring anything in it. The NFT did not contain the song. The NFT did not contain anything from the artist. It was simply just a payment receipt that you bought this NFT that was virtually related to whatever. Yeah? And so this is exactly this point. What exactly do you buy if you buy an NFT? And in this case, HitPiece says, you buy nothing. You just buy this entry in the blockchain. Yeah, you can do this. But the artist, of course, says, yeah, if it is somehow related with my name, somehow related with my art, then you can't just profit out of this. Yeah. But I really love this because it shows that NFTs are not a real thing. Yeah, people just buy these NFTs because they want to buy these NFTs. There's no actual good attached to this, and it is still something that we need to figure out how to handle these things in the blockchain that we assign value to, even though it has nothing to do with an actual real life asset.
Yeah, this is also something I never quite understood, that as you say, you buy something, but you're not able to derive any possession rights from that. And this is where I'm my understanding is missing. So I don't get the point, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that it still needs to be figured out. Yeah? There might be also some laws and regulations at some point in time where they say, okay, there is a clear definition, or maybe within the smart contract in the blockchain, a legal binding list of things that you are buying, or the rights to things that you are buying. Right now, it's like the Wild West. Yeah, you can do anything with it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are use cases where you definitely need an NFT. For instance, if you want to be invited to a party into one of those metaverses, right? Then you have to actually show that as your entrance card. But again, there is no possession rights derived from that. Not really.
That's
for whatever.
True. Okay, yeah. I think it's your final link.
Right, it's the Star Wars blade, right?
Yeah.
And so I really like that a lot. So the guy is really amazing. So he has built this Star Wars lightsaber within 10 years or so.
Whoa.
And it really creates a blade of light, more or less, plasma light actually.
Yeah.
It has a length of about 1 meter, a temperature of 2,800 degrees, and it can melt steel. It has more or less all the qualities which a lightsaber has. Looks a little bit different. Also, I think the functionality is a little bit different, but in the end, what we have regarding the qualities is more or less a lightsaber. And there's a video in the end which shows how the guy actually created the whole stuff. Very impressive. So the centerpiece of this saber is an electrolyzer, actually. It breaks down water into oxygen and hydrogen, right? So that you have these two ingredients. And then the burner there, it heats the gases, and a plasma is being created, and that shoots out of the tool there, and in the end it has the form of a light blade of roughly 1 meter length, and as said, 2,800 degrees temperature. And what we see here within the whole video is what comes out of the electrolyzer actually has to be being put into a form, into the shape of a light blade of this 1 meter, and this is more or less what he has actually created around the electrolyzer. And yeah, then this is what we see in the end. A light blade, this lightsaber of more or less 1 meter. I mean, it's not that stable as we know it from Star Wars, from the movies.
Not yet.
But it works, as we can see it. It's not that fast also, but the result is more or less the same.
Yeah. Crazy. No way.
And it doesn't work forever. So if you actually use it continuously, I think the whole thing burns like for 30 seconds or so. So not something for a big lightsaber fight.
They have to hurry up.
Yeah, you have to be quick.
And this thing probably does not make the same effect like lightsabers, that they actually hit each other, right? They would just pass through each other.
So it would go through actually.
Yeah.
And there's no sound. Not, at least not the same sound as we know it from the Star Wars movies. Yeah.
You have 30 seconds to burn your enemies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fight faster. Crazy.
But nonetheless, I thought it's really quite impressive what this guy actually has created there within 10 years. I think he has also like worked on other pieces, but yeah.
And he's a Russian.
And it's a prototype. I mean,
yeah, prototype, of course. Yeah, they do not.
Now that he proved it's possible, you know what's coming next.
Right. They do not use the real kyber crystals yet that we have in Star Wars. Yeah, and it is a Russian YouTuber I just saw. So actually, there we have it. We even have Russian tech in the tech review.
Okay, now we have, so to say, closed the circle, right? We started with the Russians, now we finish with the Russians.
Okay, yeah. Time is over. Thank you everyone for joining, and sorry for all the technical hiccups. This was the first time that I used this setup because I'm traveling right now. Next time it will be better. But yeah, I really enjoyed all the nice pieces that we had. And as always, we had killer robots, we had AR, VR, we had bionic implants. Really, really cool. Yeah. So thank you very
And a
much.
little bit of China.
What? China? Yeah.
A little bit of China, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Next time I will also bring back my macros. I really
Yes,
miss
please.
those. Okay, great. So let's. I wish you all a nice evening and see you in the next tech review. Then in episode 20. Bye.
That will be a good one.
Bye.
Good night
Good night.
or good day.
And good day for me. Yeah.